What's up, everybody? Tree City West here with Tree City Trading. Today we're going to be going over all kinds of updates with the XenBLOCKs ecosystem. We're going to be talking about the GitHub updates, the new types of blocks, the types of miners people are using, what's the whole goal of the project. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's get into it. First, let's talk about the recent GitHub updates. So if you come over to Jack1174 GitHub, Jack's GitHub, here you can find the XenMiner project. Running a XenMiner is extremely easy, and you don't need a lot of system resources to do it. All you need is a basic understanding of how to run a Python script and the Python scripts themselves right from Jack's GitHub. Now, over the last few weeks, there have been a few updates to the miner file. There's a new config file, there's a sync node file, and what do all these new files do? Well, we're going to focus on three of them. The three files we're going to look at are the miner.py, the config.conf, and the sync node. So what is the miner.py? The miner.py is the XenBLOCK miner. This is where the magic happens. This is what figures out the math problem to verify that the block you find is real. The miner.py is what mines the blocks. This is obviously the most important part of the process. Now, for the first couple weeks of the project, every time a new miner update would come out, you'd have to download the miner file, and then you have to load it into a text editor, you have to add your address, and there was just a lot of extra work every time we had to update. But within the last couple days, that brings us to our second file, which is the config file. Now, with the new config file, XenBLOCK miners no longer have to update the Python script every time there's a miner update. You simply download the config.conf, you enter your account address, and now the miner.py references that file. So as long as your config file always has the correct account, you don't have to worry about changing the miner every time there's an update. You simply download the new miner.py and it'll always go back and reference that config file that never has to change. It just makes managing multiple miners much easier, and that's a very welcome update from Jack. So now that we know how the miner.py and the config file work together, miner references the config file with your account, what does the sync node do? Basically, what sync node does is it queries the blockchain and downloads an entire copy of the blockchain to your computer. It saves it in a file called blockchain.db. Now, in the future, the nodes will be able to communicate, they'll be able to update each other with transactions, keep the network secure, keep it going. However, right now, it's more of an experimental thing, so you're not required to run the sync node. However, if you do run it, I have a couple fun scripts over on my GitHub, specifically the XenBLOCKs Explorer, where you can query the blockchain DB that the sync node creates and do things like explore the blockchain, create charts. So those are the three major files that you're going to want to consider running. You have the miner.py, which is where the magic happens. You have the config file, and then you have the sync node, which creates a copy of the blockchain in blockchain DB. Now, there's also been a bunch of other updates, including the leaderboard. On the XenMiner leaderboard, you can now track the total number of blocks, the total hash power of the entire network, the current mining block rate, the number of miners that are currently mining, which is approaching 1,000. It's amazing to see. And there's a new difficulty. So what's the difficulty? The difficulty is a feature that was added recently where more miners join and there's more hash power in the network, it becomes more difficult to mine a block. When there's less hash power out there, it becomes easier to mine a block and the difficulty decreases. This feature is also built into other proof of work chains like Bitcoin. The more mining hash power there is in Bitcoin, the more the difficulty will increase. So overall, the difficulty is just a measure of how hard it is to mine a block or solve that mathematical problem. So another fun update over the last week are a new type of block. So we started with just regular blocks, and then we added super blocks, and now there's a new type of block called the Zuni block. The Zuni blocks you can actually track over on my new website, hashhead.io. If you come over to Hashhead, you pop in your address. There's no need to connect your wallet or anything. You just put in your address, hit check account, and the website will tell you how many blocks you've mined. So you can see currently I've mined over 8,000 blocks. I've mined over 1,000 Zuni blocks, and I've mined about 17 super blocks. So what are these different types of blocks? The total account blocks are the regular blocks that you're going to mine. So regular blocks actually search for the hash Zen11, but Zuni blocks are special. They're actually searching for blocks that say XUNI or Zuni between 55 past and 5 past. So there's only 10 minutes at the top of every hour that you can find Zuni blocks. But the Zuni blocks are a little easier to mine. So that's something to keep in mind. You may notice you get more Zuni blocks because they're easier to mine than account blocks. However, the big currency of the network, the real rarity, is going to be in the super blocks. As the difficulty continues to increase, it's going to be harder to get super blocks, Zuni blocks, and regular blocks, which incentivized me to enter early so I can speculate and accumulate these blocks for the future. So one thing I do want to be clear on is that this is entirely an experiment. There's no monetary value attached to XenBLOCKs. The XenBLOCKs Telegram is completely a hopium-free zone. We're in here talking about the tech. We're talking about different types of CPUs. How many CPUs does this AMD EPYC have? Which VPS servers are the best? Which VPS server has the best value for the price? Which cloud servers allow mining and which ones will ban you and take your money if you start mining crypto on them? You really have to be careful. And we're in the chat figuring out these different type of technical questions, these different strategies. And I don't want to say we're taking it extremely seriously because we're having fun, but we're also sticking to the topic. We're working out our issues. We're helping each other set up miners. And it's not really a time for fun and games and price speculation. So that takes me to my next topic. What are the different types of miners? So there are quite a few options for mining XenBLOCKs, and it depends on your familiarity with Python and running a script on your computer. It also depends on your comfort with GitHub and Linux and understanding command line. And if you have experience with cloud computing and you know what a virtual dedicated server is, maybe you're on a more advanced level. But the point of XenBLOCKs is that anybody can mine, and you can just mine on your own personal PC or your laptop. That works very well, and that's one of the things that this is striving to create is fair mining, fair proof of work that anybody can take part in. The XenBLOCKs network is looking to build a fair mining protocol where we're not bound by GPUs like Bitcoin and you have to dedicate your hash power to a pool and get a fraction of a Bitcoin. With XenBLOCKs mining, anybody can mine, and there's a couple different types of miners you can do. Now, the easiest way to mine is just to install Python and run a Python script on your computer. You can even do it in Windows. It's recommended that you use Linux. Windows does a lot of stupid things like scan for viruses and install Windows updates randomly, and there's all these crap services running in the background. Linux will just run and do exactly what you tell it to, which is nice. But if you're not familiar with Linux, you can run it in Windows. You just install the Python environment, you download the script, and then you double click on miner.py, and boom, there you go. The miner has started. It's just running. As I mentioned earlier, it pulls my name from the config.conf. So you can see I added treecitywest.eth as the account name, and now in the miner, it says I'm mining with treecitywest.eth. So that's exactly right. I know it's working. I can see my hash power and everything is good. And that just demonstrates how easy it is to mine. The point of this is not to be complicated. The point is to be easy and simple so anybody can mine. So that's the first option, is just mining right on your Windows PC. Now, if you want some extra juice and some extra hash power, you can actually purchase what's called a cloud server. And there's a couple different kinds. There's VPS, which is virtual private server. You kind of share your resources with your neighbors. There's a VDS, which is a virtual dedicated server. With a VDS, you get a server that's dedicated to you specifically. One of the cheap popular ones is this website called Contabo. You can come here, you can get an AMD EPYC 32-core processor for $250 a month. That's basically the industry standard cream of the crop for CPU mining. However, you can also just do the $17 a month and get 8 cores and have that dedicated. Or you can just not do anything and just do it on your home machine for free. You can even do it on your cell phone. However, some people are taking this seriously and they want to get that extra power and they're very competitive. So they come to these cloud services and they buy these cloud computing packages just to get some extra hash power. But say you have a crap PC and you don't want to pay for a cloud service and you're not familiar with Linux, so you don't even know where to begin. Well, another option is to use a site like PCPartPicker.com or even Amazon.com and put together a cheap PC that has a lot of CPU cores that you can use to mine. It doesn't have to be the best of the best. And since we're not doing GPU mining, you don't need an $800 graphics card to mine XenBLOCKs. The important thing is to have a lot of cores in the processor so you can have more instances running, which is typically 1 instance per core. So if I buy an 8-core processor, that means I can run 8 Zen miners at once. Or you can just come over to Amazon and instead of building a new PC, you just buy a pre-made one. You know, here's a Ryzen 9 6900HX with 8 cores going for less than $600. It has 8 cores so you can run 8 miners at once, and for less than $600, it might be something fun for you to play with. But again, if you just have an old PC laying around your house, or you buy a $100 PC that only has 2 cores, well then you can run 2 miners. The point is that anybody can participate as long as you have some CPU cores to mine with. That's what makes this fair proof of work. But it's also risky. You have to keep in mind that there are no prices or hopium attached to this. I'm not going to be able to take my XenBLOCKs and go sell them to somebody. To me, this is more of a bear market activity. I've learned things like how to load Linux, how to script Python, how to query a blockchain.db database with a Python script, how to do all these different things I would normally wouldn't do, but I'm in the slow bear market. There's not much to do. There's not much to talk about. Might as well sharpen my skills and learn something new. And that's what this whole project has been about. And not even just this project, that's Zen in general. What other project do you have to know 12 different blockchains, their native coin, and how to figure out their gas fees? Now, on top of that, we also have to learn proof of work, and it's just absorbing all this information of how blockchain, mutability, consensus, transactions, gas fees, how this all plays together. So we're ready for the future of this tech. So if you've used this tool or any other tools that I might have made, come over to the hashhead.io website and buy me a coffee. So all in all, that's pretty much all I have for the update. It's been a really exciting experience, and I'm wondering if this is kind of what it felt like to mine Bitcoin in the very beginning. You have these small forums or this small Telegram, and we're all just chatting and exchanging ideas, and they're updating the script every day, and there's a new script we have to update, and we're watching the blocks go, and sometimes there's an issue, everybody has to restart. It's just an enlightening experience seeing the whole process play out. It's been so fun. And again, if you want to support the channel, want to support Hashheads, head over to hashhead.io, buy me a coffee over there. Please like, subscribe, and share. Head over to treecitytrading.us for more information. And as always, thank you for watching. Tree City Trading's out.